So here's another story about labor action around the world that's getting zero press in the United States. In end of January, there's a strike in Mexico right near the border. And here's a little video from the WSWS, that's the World Socialist Workers. And they put together this video, so here we go.
Yes.
The largest strike on the continent in more than 20 years. And it's been taking place right on the... There it is. So there's where it's been taking place. Right here. And
it's actually just World Socialist website, by the way.
Yeah, it's World Socialist website.
Yeah.
Yeah, not World Socialist Worker site.
Could be. Yeah.
I would think it would be.
World Socialist website
you would
works
think.
too.
So it's World Socialist, it says it. But that's where it's happening right there. You haven't heard a peep about it. And the problem is the unions are corrupted. So the unions get in bed with the companies. They're supposed to be representing the people. They get bought off by the companies. They don't represent the workers. So the workers are doing this on their own. I'll tell you about it in a second. Let's watch more of this. It began in defiance of the unions, which are hated by the workers for their collaboration with the companies. And that sign says the unions and the companies kill the working class. Workers organized a Day Without Workers and marched to the Texas border where they chanted, "Gringos, wake up." Gringos are a word for Americans. To date, there has not been a single article about the Matamoros strike in the U.S. or international press. Workers are using social media and the World Socialist website to break the media blackout. We're going to follow exactly what the Mexican workers are doing. Our union isn't doing too much for us. You need to fight this fight. You need to win it. Keep your heads up. That's from a GM worker in Canada. And they're going to the World Socialist website to show solidarity with them. You are reaching across these illusory national borders. Hang on. I'm going to read those to you in a sec. I have them all. Break the media blackout. Share this video. So here's the article that this video comes from. It's a World Socialist website. Matamoros strike threatens to shut down North America's auto industry. This is from January 21st. Didn't hear a peep about it in the United States. Did anybody hear anything about this in the United States? No. By courageously withholding their labor, the workers at 50 auto parts plants that have been struck in Matamoros just south of Brownsville, Texas, could bring a major sector of the world economy to its knees. The strike demonstrates the objective unity and class common interests of the U.S., Canadian, and Mexican workers. Because what happens is the union leaders in each country pit the workers against each other workers in other countries where they're actually the same. The workers have a common bond and unity, and the common unity is they're fighting against the same employers. It is the answer. It is the answer of the working class to Donald Trump's racist threat to build a wall between the United States and Mexico, and the nationalist poison spread by the United Auto Workers and Unifor unions to make American and Canadian auto workers think that their enemies are their Mexican brothers and sisters, not the auto bosses and the capitalist profit system. How come I haven't heard? You never hear this, right? You guys ever hear anything like this?
You don't hear about this. We don't hear about this for the biggest reason being because strikes are contagious.
Yes, they are.
That's why you don't hear about it. Strikes are contagious.
And by the way, they're settling the teachers when they're striking in the United States. They're settling those now. They settled the LA one like that.
They settled the Denver one even quicker.
Yeah,
like 5 days.
In a couple days, that was over. Yeah,
because strikes are catchy. And a recession's coming. Anyway, so that's all right. So let's get. So there's a little bit more to this article. Matamoros workers are beginning to recognize their social strength. Yesterday, thousands of workers marched from their plants to the city plaza, chanting "Bourgeoisie, get out!" The strikers have issued now. Bourgeoisie are the owner class.
Yes,
right. The strikers...
And I bet in Spanish it sounds a little more smooth, too.
I bet it does.
Bourgeoisie, get out. That's not...
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little choppy, but I bet in Spanish it's a lot smoother. I'm not sure what it is, but...
The strikers have issued a social media appeal for all Mexican workers to join them in a national general strike, which they are calling a day without workers. Now, that scares the shit out of the capitalists, man. That scares them. The eyes of a million maquiladora workers near the U.S.-Mexico border, accounting for nearly 2/3 of Mexican exports, are on the struggle in Matamoros. So 2/3 of their exports come from this area. I didn't know any of this. The strike shows that the international interconnectivity of the auto industry is a source of profound strength for workers everywhere.
Which is another reason you're not hearing anything about it in the press.
That's right.
So you should know, go back, Jimmy, to the slide where it says the million maquiladora workers near. So I thought we should know what a maquiladora worker is, and that's a factory worker. And it says that it is a company that allows factories to be largely duty-free and tariff-free. These factories take raw materials and assemble, manufacture, or process them and then export the finished product. So when you see that term, now you know what that is.
Okay. While the companies have used globalization to facilitate the hyper-exploitation of workers all over the world, the Matamoros strike demonstrates that workers at each center of production have the power to disrupt the whole machine of global for-profit production. So workers really do still have all the power. And that's what this is showing, and that's why no one's covering this. So here's another one of those at the World Socialist website. The other union workers are leaving notes of encouragement and solidarity with the Mexican strikers. And I'll read one to you. An auto parts worker in Detroit, Michigan said, "I take heart that you are reaching across the illusory national borders to your working class brothers and sisters north of you and saying an injury to one is an injury to all. We must stand together as a united global force. We will not let U.S.-based companies hurt Mexican workers in the name of capitalism. You are our fellow workers. You just happen to live in a different country." That is 100% true. That's very powerful. And this is what we need to hear more of. And this is what we need to say more of. These messages of class solidarity expose the lie put forward by unions that the workers of the three countries of North America have different interests. We don't. The workers in Canada, the United States, and Mexico have similar interests and common enemies or opponent. The unions in each country will tell workers they must compete with their fellow workers instead of uniting to fight their common corporate enemies. The unions say the workers in the richer countries must accept wage and benefit cuts in order to, quote, save jobs at home. This strategy has been a disaster for auto workers. Broad section of the U.S. and Canadian Midwest have been devastated by plant closures and union givebacks, while the salaries of Unifor and the United Auto Workers bureaucrats have skyrocketed into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now GM is planning to slash another 15,000 jobs, including by shutting plants in the U.S. and Canada that are impacted by the Mexican parts strike. The Matamoros strike is a world event. What is taking place is open class warfare. The corporations are firing hundreds of workers, threatening their families with destitution. Companies are locking workers into the plants, blocking them from walking out with physical barriers. The Mexican Navy and state police are patrolling workers' demonstrations with their fingers on their triggers of their assault rifles. In 1 week, the workers have cost companies $100 million in lost profits. So if you don't think they're going to start cracking heads, they are.
And they are.
To date, there has not been a single report in the U.S. media about the strike. The Mexican national media has ignored the strike with almost equal tenacity. So this is, remember, this is from January 21st. I have found an article in the United States from Bloomberg I'm going to show you in a sec. The ruling class, including the trade unions, cannot afford to say one word about the strike in Matamoros because it is terrified that workers everywhere will be inspired by its example. Workers are organizing independently of their trade unions and electing their own committees with 2 representatives from each plant who are tasked with coordinating the strike, sharing information between striking plants, and making broader appeals to the working class as a whole. More and more, this is emerging as the central theme of the class struggle in 2019. Wow. So, these are the crucial first steps, but Matamoros workers must be warned that the corporation and the unions are employing a carrot and stick strategy to weaken their struggle. Beyond the threats of firings and violence, the companies and the main union are using appeals by careerist labor lawyers who feign support for workers while appearing with hated union bureaucrats and urging workers to, quote, reform, end quote, the union instead of taking independent action. So they have these turncoats, these pretenders, these lawyers who say they're representing the workers, but they're really in bed with the company, and then they urge their union to go along with the company. BS. The real way forward lies in appealing to their fellow Malaquadora workers and their class brothers and sisters in the United States and Canada. The Matamoros strikers are proving that regardless of race or nationality, all workers are exploited by the same corporations and all speak the same language of the class struggle. This is big. The ideas are big ideas. If they can unionize auto workers in Canada, United States, and Mexico together, if those people realize that their unions are lying to them and that the workers share a common struggle, the international unity of working class is the basis for the construction of socialist society free of war, national antagonisms, and social inequality. So real quick, it's still going on. This is from February 18th. This is from Bloomberg. Mexico factories plead for AMLO to intervene in border strikes. A group representing Malaquadora owners, so not the workers, but the owners of the shops, of the factories, is calling on President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador to intervene in widespread strikes that followed his decree to double minimum wages at the Mexican border with the United States. So the owners are now calling on the president, and remember, he's supposed to be a revolutionary president, but he's already pledged his loyalty to the banks and the corporations. But now they want him to intercede and end the strike. Index, this is the name for the group that represents the owners. Index published full-page newspaper ads and took to Twitter after workers demanding a 20% raise and a 32,000 peso bonus, that's $1,662 bonus. They walked off their jobs since January in the border city of Matamoros. So they're really hurting them.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the workers are putting a hurt on these companies. Since the leftist president took power on December 1st, strikes have broken out in several states, including a teacher's blockade of trains in Michoacan, that was unrelated to the Ecuadorian crisis. Immediate intervention is of this is the index, the owners group. This is their statement. Immediate intervention is of vital importance to control the crisis that Matamoros is living through, Index said on its Twitter account.
What's the crisis? Our profit margins.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
In a 2-page ad in El Financiero newspaper, the group said the government can't be silent and allow new labor practices to surprise the industrial sector without warning. That's awesome.
So the workers are unhappy, and they're acting like it's a surprise.
Yes. So the owners are acting like they're using new labor practices to surprise them. I mean, they're striking.
This is a crisis. We're making less money and we're surprised. I'm clutching my pearls in surprise.
With employees getting the upper hand in several labor disputes, strikes have spread from maquiladoras, many of them producing auto parts, to companies like Arca Continental, the world's second largest Coca-Cola bottler. Mm-hmm. So the strikes spreading, just like they feared. Strikes are spreading. Strikes catch on. So that's Bloomberg finally covered it on the 18th of February. So Bloomberg, did you find anybody else covering it since then? I haven't.
This is my first hearing that even Bloomberg did.
The Guardian covered it just recently. So all the coverage it took over a month.
Mm-hmm.
So the Guardian did an article on it. Bloomberg did an article on it. That's all I've seen, and that's this week. It was a long time, zero coverage.
Well, I think the biggest thing they fear is an international labor conversation. That's something they fear a lot because, why are strikers here? People aren't striking in Mondragon. Why is that? Oh, they have worker co-ops.
That's right.
What did Germany pulled off a 28.5-hour work week. How did that happen?
Right.
Those are the conversations they really don't want to see workers having.
That's right.
What they're really scared
And maybe also, if you cover this strike, it would humanize the Mexican experience. Then you would see people who are really struggling in Mexico who are making what, on average, $2 an hour? I mean, their wages, it's horrifying. Oh, yeah. In some of the articles that I read that it was that low and that they're hoping to earn up to $9 an hour. So I think if you humanized what was happening in Mexico, then maybe people would look at the caravan and start having more questions about why they have to come to the United States, because they're seeking a better life.
So there you go. I mean, that's the thing that people that they're really afraid of is. So what they can do now is that, like, for instance, the union will come to their workers in the United States saying, hey, we got to take a concession. We got to take cuts to our pay and our benefits, because if we don't, they're going to go to Mexico. Well, what if the workers in Mexico said, F you, we're going to support our brothers in North America. We're not going to we're going to all have one agreement for our work in the auto industry. That is something that's powerful. That is something that, yeah. Oh, no, then we'll go to Germany. Well, Germany, I have unions too. So they've corrupted the unions. That's the problem. I always say that the way to get the solution for Walmart and Amazon is we strong unions. But here you have situations where the unions easily get corrupted. That's a tough thing. You have open elections for unions. Again, they have all the same problems look what it's like just trying to get an honest election inside the Democratic Party. So that's great. This is great news. Employees are getting the upper hand. And the strikes are spreading. So that's what we need. And we need general strikes. We need stuff like that. We need yellow vests. So it's all going to happen. It's just a matter of how fast it happens. That's really it. Now Barack Obama did the dirty work of these capitalists, and he now made it legal to lock you up without a charge. So all they have to do is say you're a terrorist. They can call you an economic terrorist if you're organizing strikes. So they go, he's an economic terrorist, put him in jail, no charges. And so all you have to do that is to one or two leaders, and people get the message. And Barack Obama made that possible. So thank you, Barack Obama. So anything else to add to this story?
Well, other than what we've just said, that corporations and industries are really afraid of these strikes spreading in the region.
Yes.
And crossing the border into Texas as well. So I also read another article that highlighted how they're also trying to influence Walmart workers to unionize and strike as well. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there is this momentum.
Yeah. That's great. I hope it catches on. I hope this catches on. I didn't read that. Where did you read that?
Guardian.
Oh, in the Guardian, that article?
No, excuse me. It was the World Socialist website from February 12th.
Okay.
Well, the more success you see, the more it'll spread too.
So thank God for the World Socialist website, the WSWS, World Socialist website. That's funny that they put that extra WS at the end.
Whis.
Right? How about you? Anyway, I can help you with your messaging, I think. Anyway, that's great. We covered it. Just like, by the way, there was in January, there was also a strike of 150 million workers in India. Got zero coverage in the United States. I think I covered it on Aggressive Progressive. I don't know if I covered it here. So there you go. Remember that saying? There used to be a saying, the revolution will not be televised. Well, it's not even going to be covered. It's not even going to be covered. The revolution will not be covered.
We're doing what we can to get it online. TV out.
Yeah, we'll get it on YouTube, but that's about it. Okay, we'll be following the story. We're announcing our live dates for 2019. We're going to Chicago and Portland, Seattle, New York, all over the country. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets to all our shows. It'll be right underneath there, too. Please become a patron if you like our content and help support the show. You can become a patron for $5 a month, and we give you hours of bonus material. And make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I'm not kidding. Make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so they give you a notice when we drop a video. It's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. Thanks for your support.